If you thought tuna was just a fish, then think again. It is also the name of a scandal in Mozambique that involved several banks, including a Swiss bank, a shipbuilder, and a lot of tuna. You see, Mozambique is a beautiful country located in the southern African region, but it is mostly known for its delicious seafood, rich wildlife, and stunning beaches. But today, we'll talk about the scandal that plunged the country into a financial crisis, exposed corruption and fraud, and triggered lawsuits and investigations around the globe. This scandal is better known as the Tuna bond, and this is what we are working with today. Tuna bonds are not a new way for saving for your retirement by investing in canned fish. They are actually loans that the Credit Suisse, a Swiss bank, arranged for Mozambique back in 2013. The loans were supposed to help Mozambique develop its maritime security and fishing industry by buying patrol boats, surveillance equipment, and a fleet of tuna fishing vessels. The total amount of the loan was estimated to around $2 billion. The loans were supposed to boost Mozambique's economy and security, but they turned out to be a disaster. Everything went wrong with the tuna bond deals. First of all, the loans were secret and illegal. The Mozambican government did not inform the parliament, its people, or the IMF, which was lending money to Mozambique at the time. The loans also violated Mozambique's own laws on borrowing limits and public procurement. Second, the loans were based on lies and bribes. The projected revenues for the tuna fishing were grossly inflated, and some of the money was used to pay kickbacks to Credit Suisse bankers and Mozambican officials. The money was wasted, to be honest. This almost coincided with the rise of slave queens across Africa, because that's a lot of money to spend. Third, the projects were a flop. The patrol boats were never delivered, the surveillance equipment was faulty, and the tuna fishing vessels were rusting in the harbor, in the ports. Mozambique ended up with a huge debt and no benefits. The tuna bond scandal had disastrous consequences for Mozambique and its creditors. When the loans were exposed in 2016, the IMF and other donors cut off their aid to Mozambique, triggering a financial crisis and a currency collapse. Mozambique defaulted on its debt payments, leading to lawsuits and investigations by regulators and prosecutors in several countries. Credit Suisse faced fines, penalties, and reputation damage for its role in the scandal. Some of its former employees were arrested and charged with fraud and money laundering. Mozambique's former finance minister was extradited from South Africa to face trial in New York. After years of legal battles and negotiations, Mozambique and Credit Suisse reached an out-of-court settlement this month, October 2023. Under the deal, Credit Suisse agreed to forgive part of the debt owed by Mozambique. Credit Suisse also pleaded guilty to wire fraud in the US and agreed to pay fines to the UK and US regulators. Mozambique agreed to drop its claim against Credit Suisse and go after the shipbuilder that was involved in the scandal for compensation. The tuna bond scandal is not just a cautionary tale of how corruption and greed can ruin a country's development and steal opportunity from its people. Well, not all of its people, because the slave queens drive Mercedes, BMW, and Range Rovers, plus they also own properties, but the taxman have never heard about them. This is also why transparency and accountability in public finances and international lending is very important. It also reminds us that corruption is not just an African problem, it is an international problem. Listen, it's not all doom and gloom. Despite the scandal, Mozambique has shown signs of recovery and resilience. The country has restructured some of its debts with other creditors, boosted its economic growth prospects with natural gas discoveries, and resumed talks with the IMF. I don't like this one, but what can I say? The country still faces many challenges like many countries under the sun, but it also has opportunities. That's all we will remember. If it's your first time interacting with my content, I would like to welcome you and let you know that I have a podcast on YouTube full of non-political stories. You can find it in the podcast sections of the channel. I also have a book of Proverbs which you can access through the link below. Moreover, I create fire content that speaks for itself. Please check out my catalog and thank you for your time.
We, ni nini?